Okay, we're going to review working on simplifying expressions with exponents. First off, this one right here, it says x to the 5th times x to the 9th. Okay, what you're going to do, you're going to go through, and you can do the shortcuts or you can do it by the long ways. X to the 5th means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X to the 9th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whoop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so now, if I write them all out, now how many x's do I actually have? I have 5 and 9 more, which is x to the 14th. Okay? So the shortcut is that when the bases are the same, these x's are called bases, you add the exponents. So x to the 5 plus 9, x to the 14th. Okay, now let's look at the second one. Okay, on number 2, if you notice, how many bases are there? No. Okay, let's go back a second. A base, remember, when it's x to the 14th or whatever is what's right down here at the bottom, that's called the base. Okay? The number above is the exponent. Do number 11. Okay, so now this has one base. This is a power raised to a power. One way I could write this is it's x to the 4th 3 times. And then I could add up my exponents, which gives me 4, 8, and 12. X to the 12th would be the answer to this one. When it is a power raised to a power, the shortcut, though, just means that you multiply these two numbers. And that's where I would get still, without writing it all out, it would be x to the 12th. Let's look at the next ones. There's number 3 and number 4. Now, number 3. If I wanted to write it out, I could write, what it's doing is saying taking what's inside the parentheses and writing it twice. X squared y to the 4th, and then you multiply it by x squared y to the 4th. You do it 2 times. Oh, let's see here. So now you can go through and add your exponents. So here's my base of x. Here's my base of x. How many x's do I have? There's 2 x's, but it's x to the 2nd power, x to the 2nd power. So 2 and 2 is 4. So it becomes x to the 4th power. Well, if you do that with your rules of exponents with the powers here, well, what is 2 times 2? X to the 4th. Now if I look at the y's, I have 4 y's and 4 y's. That means I have y to the 8th. If I did the shortcut method, there's a power to a power. 4 times 2 is 8. This should be y to the 8th. Now, looking at number 4, let's try number 4. And if you don't understand the power rules, then write them out in expanded form. Okay, so on number 4, one of the ways I told you could do this is to write out what's inside the parentheses and write it out 5 times. 2c d to the 4th, and I could write that out 5 times. Oh, there's 3 of them. Let's see if I can write 2c d, d to the 4th. All right, so this is writing out an expanded form. Now I'd be going 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. Well, by the rules of exponents, this is 2, and there's a 1 right here. So 1 times 5 is 5, so I have 2 to the 5th power. If you put in your calculator, go in your home screen, and put in there 2 caret 5, and press enter, it'll give you 32. Okay, so I have 32. Now, How many c's do I have? This is c to the first power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C to the fifth power. Well, that makes sense because this c right here is to the first power. 1 times 5 is 5. So it's c to the fifth power. And then my d's, I have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. D to the 20th. Because 4 times 5 is 20. So this is D to the 20th. If you understand the shortcuts, then you don't have to write it all out. Now in number 5, looking at number 5, what is in between those two terms? A plus sign. That's not any, the rules that we were doing was when we were multiplying. This is when we're adding. Like, so when I ask, what if I asked you this? What is x plus x? That's 2x, right? You're putting them together. So that's basically what we're doing right here. This says I have 1x to the fourth plus 1x to the fourth. So my answer is going to be 2x to the fourth. When you are adding, all you can do is add the coefficients. Those exponents stay the same. Now on number 6, it has a minus between it. If I told you x squared minus x, have we ever put those together? We've never put those together because they're not the same. Remember, like this is a big square and this is a rectangle? This is the same thing. There's nothing I can do. The answer to this one is x to the 8th minus x to the 3rd. When you are adding and subtracting, those exponents have to be the same. Let me say that again. When adding and subtracting, oh my, here we go. Subtracting, the exponents must be the same. Okay? That's not true when we're multiplying and dividing and stuff like that. It's only when we're adding and subtracting. Okay, so let's look at these two. Again, this is saying all of this in the parentheses is squared. That means we're going to write it twice. So I have negative 3a squared b to the 5th times negative 3a squared b to the 5th. Now I have, this is negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. That's the same up here as negative 3 to the 2nd power. That's where I'm coming up with my 9. Now I have a to the 2nd power, a to the 2nd power. How many a's do I have? 2 and 2 is 4. A to the 4th. Well, that's because 2 times 2 right there, when it's a power to a power, that gives me 4. Now my b's, I have b to the 5th and b to the 5th. That gives me b to the 10th. And if I did the shortcut without writing it out, it would say 5 times 2, which is 10. Now on number 8, is there any exponent outside the parentheses? No, there's not. Okay, so we don't do any of that. We are just multiplying what's inside the parentheses, just like we're multiplying these two terms. So you're going to take negative 8 times 4, and what does that give you? Negative 32. Now I have x squared times x to the 1st power. How many total x's is that? I have 1 and 2, which is x to the 3rd power. Then I have my y's right here. I have 5y and 2y's. How many y's? Y to the 7th. That's my answer. All right. There's number 9. Looking at number 9, the first thing you want to do in order of operations is please parentheses and exponents. So here it is. Do this one first, then do this one, and you're going to multiply those two together, okay? So let you try that. Right here, get an answer for this one, write it here. Get an answer for this one, write it here, and then you're going to multiply those two things together. Okay, let you try these next ones. Go ahead and do that now. All right, so on this first one in the parentheses, we have a to the 3rd to the 4th. So you'll multiply these numbers. 3 times 4 is 12. I get a to the 12th. B, 2 times 4 is 8. That's what I get in the first parentheses. The second one, there's a 1 right here by this a. 1 times 2 is 2, so it's a to the 2nd power. B to the 3 times 2 is 6. Now we go through and we have to add our exponents together because when you multiply the bases, you add the exponents. So I get a to the 14th, b to the 14th. So let me write that down there again. When multiplying the bases, you add the exponents. Okay, there we go. Now, on number 10, it's saying all of this to the 2nd power. That's the same as saying 1/10 xy to the 3rd times 1/10 xy to the 3rd. Well, 1/10 times 1/10. 1 times 1 is 1. 10 times 10 is 100. Now, this is x to the 1st power. X to the 1st power, I have x to the 2nd power. Y to the 3rd, y to the 3rd. That's y to the 6th. Now, there's a couple ways we don't know on the EOC how they'll do it. This is one of the ways you can find your answer. Another way, they could write it like this. Both of those answers are correct because these things are really in the numerator. They're over 1. Okay, and so the 100 is the only thing in the denominator, so you don't know which way they might show it on the EOC. Number 11. Now we're not multiplying. What are we doing? We're dividing. So when you are, well, we'll get to in a minute, but we're going to do when you divide the bases, well, let's try and erase that and try it again. You are going to do something to the exponents. So if I look at this, a to the 7th means I have 7 a's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All over a to the 3rd. 1, 2, 3. That's what this means in expanded form. I wrote it all out. Now an a takes away an a takes away an a takes away an a. How many do I have left now? I have a to the 4th, not 4a, a to the 4th. So what am I doing with these exponents? You subtract, yes. So right here, when you divide the bases, you subtract the exponents. So right here, on my x's, 9 minus 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. So I have x to the 2nd power. Then I look at my y's. I have 5 minus 3, y to the 2nd power. And that should be my answer. looking at number 13 and 14 right here. Now, let you try these, and here's my hint to you. What you're going to do first is do what is inside here first, okay? Then take it to the second power. Okay, so do that now and try 13 and 14. All right, on number 13, the first thing you're supposed to do is what's inside the parentheses. So when you are dividing, you subtract the exponents, and I have 9 minus 6, so I have x to the third. And then my y's, I have 5 minus 4, which is y to the first power. All of this is raised to the second power. Okay, so I would multiply the exponents. So 3 times 2, that's x to the sixth. That's a 1 right there, so it's 1 times 2, y to the second power. That's what your answer should have been for number 13. On number 14, we've got to do all those rules together. So the first thing I'm going to go through and do is I'm going to do what's inside these parentheses first. So I have 5 minus 2, so I get y to the third power, all to the second power. This one here, 3 minus, is that a 1? Looks like a 1. 3 to the first power, so I get x squared, all to the third power. Now, power raised to a power, this becomes 3 times 2 is y to the sixth times x to the 2 times 3, which is 6. Can I put these two things together? Can I add those, the 6 and the 6, and get 12? No, this is as low as it goes. This is your answer. Okay, 15 and 16. Try these. Now again, remember my hint. Do what's inside the parentheses first, inside here. Then do those exponents out there. Okay, so do what's inside here first. See what you can do. So on number 15, first off, can I do anything right here? Can I subtract these exponents? Are the bases the same? No, they're not. So the only thing you do is the power to a power. So I'm going to take y, I've got the second power to the fourth power, so it becomes y to the eighth over 2 times 4, x to the eighth. Okay, so now I have that. Now I need to look at the other parentheses. Well, I can't put these together because on top is x and bottom is y. So I have x to the eighth over y to the second power. Now, if I put these together, I end up just putting them together by having y to the eighth, x to the second, x to the eighth, y to the second. Okay. Wait, where's the second coming from? This is supposed to be x to the eighth, isn't it? All right, that's supposed to be an 8. There we go. Now, I have 8 x's down here, 8 x's up here. They cancel each other out. They go away. Now I've got y to the 8th over y squared. What does that answer become? What do you do with your exponents? Subtract, so it's y to the 6th. So your answer becomes y to the 6th. Now on number 16, they do have the same on the top and the bottom, don't they? Yes. This is y to the first power. So I subtract these exponents right here and I get 6y. This is all raised to the second power. Now if I look inside the next parentheses, well, 2/3, that doesn't do anything. That stays as 2/3. And then I've got x to the second power, all to the fourth power. All right. Now what we did was just what's inside. Now we need to do this the power to a power. So this says 6 squared. That's not 12. That's the biggest mistake. 6 squared. means 6 times 6. So I get 36y squared. That's in the first parentheses. Now this one here, ooh, 2/3, all of that to the 4th power. Okay, what I would do is go in my calculator, put the parentheses in there, 2 divide 3, and then use the caret button right up there above the divide sign, and put 4, and press enter. It gives you a nasty little decimal. Let me see if I can change it to a fraction. Math, enter, enter. Okay, well, it gave us 16 over 81. That's fine. We'll go over here, and I'll put 16 over 81, and then x to the 8th power. 2 times 4 is 8. Now, what do you do here? You have to multiply 36 times this. So I'm going to go back to my handy-dandy calculator, put in there, you can go parentheses 16, divide 81, and do the parentheses again for times 36. If you want to do it this way, and press enter. Ugh. That one's just not very nice. It reduces to 64 over 9. So we'll just go with 64 over 9, y squared, x to the 8th. That one wasn't very pretty. Now, one other thing. What is anything to the 0 power? If I put x to the 0 power, 10 to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power is 1. You could have 8xyz to the 0 power. It's 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Make sure you remember that.